Welcome to Sports Chaplains Connect, a weekly podcast where you'll hear the journey of someone serving in sports ministry. It's insight, wisdom, discernment, and encouragement for serving the men and women of sport. It's time to connect. Here's your host, Bill Houston.
And Bonnie Bement, thank you for that introduction. Great to have you with us on the Sports Chaplains Connect podcast once again. And this time we go to the WNBA, and Reggen Melson is our guest. Reggen serves as part of the chaplain team with the Indiana Fever. And Reggen, thanks for being with us. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, this is program number 50, so you're pretty special here.
Sounds like fun.
There you go. That's awesome. Hey, tell me about your team there with Indiana. You have a couple other folks who serve with you, so help us see what that looks like for the Indiana Fever.
Yes, so we have working alongside of me, serving alongside of me is Wanisa Dickerson.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this is her 8th season.
Oh,
She's
wow.
right around that 7, 8, 8. Now, I want to say it's her 8th. I'm pretty sure it's her 8th.
Okay.
And she is, I don't know her official title on her day job, but she's wrote a book, a devotional. She loves teaching. She loves writing materials for ministry. So that's kind of what she does. Fueling the Faith. She had a podcast and a book on that. So.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Reverend Dr. Ricky McCray.
Mm-hmm.
He is the pastor of the Way Church here locally in Indianapolis. But again, he's an author. He's a musician, writer, songwriter. I think he's right after Wanisa. So if this is her 8th, it's his 7th, or, however they are, 7th year serving as a chaplain as well.
Okay.
And so I would say at the Fever, they have 3 very different people working and serving together, but we do it well. So, yep,
that's good. So help me understand how that works with 3 of you serving one team. Mm-hmm. How do you divvy that up? How do you share those responsibilities? What's that look like?
Yeah, just to give you a little history. So I was invited in from, I think you might have talked to her maybe in the past. I'm not sure, but her name is Kathy Malone, but her maiden name is Kathy Sparks. Okay. Yes. Are you familiar with her?
Very much.
She was one of the original chaplains along with Dr. I can't remember her first name, but I know her last name is Warlaw.
Okay.
Warlaw. They were both the original chaplains for the Fever. So was this our 26th season? Kathy served, she retired at her 20th year, and Minister Warlaw, retired sometime before that. But so Kathy asked me to come on as a chaplain because Minister was sick. She had breast cancer. Okay. And so she asked me to actually just come in and kind of help just those times when the Mrs. Warlaw couldn't get there. And so I kind of did that. And so I watched how just the 2 of them worked together. They both came together, even if one wasn't speaking, the other one's just kind of there observing, or she would pray, or, just greeting. It's very helpful because it's hard when it's just one person trying to greet all the people, share and pray and do all the things.
Sure.
And so I kind of watched how they did it. And so after a while, like I said, Minister Warlaw, moved on. She's alive. Sorry. She was healed from her cancer. So she moved on, and it was just Kathy and I. And then, so Kathy and I served together maybe 4 or 5 years. And during that time, we would ask guests to come. And so Wanisa was one of our guests. Dr. Ricky was one of our guests. And so they were like some favorites because Dr. Ricky, he plays the keyboard and sings. So, they loved him.
Wow.
And so they were their favorites. And as Kathy was like, okay, I'm about to move on too. I'm like, who am I going to do this with? So I just chose 2 people who had, and when they came as guests, sometimes just once a summer, but they had come several times before they came on officially. And so, we have a whole vetting thing, and they came. And so how it works, we, like I said, we try as much as possible to come together, even if you're not sharing. We try to make all the games, as many games as possible.
Okay.
Now, Dr. Ricky's schedule is a little different because, he is a pastor and things like that. So Sundays is usually out, but we make it work. So the person who's sharing, prepares whatever their message is. We did have a theme this year, God loves you. And so they prepared, and then usually the other person will pray. Somebody would pray at the end, but
Mhm.
we all have different gifts. Pastor Rick always says I'm the pastor of the team, but shepherding because but I am like that person I like to do all the gifts and the notes and to text and check up on them. Like I said, Wanisa, she's a great teacher. She also likes doing the gifts and things like that as well.
Mhm.
And then Pastor Rick, he just comes in and he's the pastor.
Sure, I
But
totally get it.
he gets it done. He gives them he'll give them a 7-minute sermon, a real good 7-minute sermon. But we all share in our different ways, and that's just kind of how we work. And we just usually rotate every 3. But again, somebody's schedule, we
Mhm.
might have to double up or something like that. But we've just made it work. So we've been working together roughly 7 years together, 7
Okay.
seasons.
Wow, that's really exciting because
Hmm.
sometimes, we can find that the team approach
Hmm.
works really well, and
Hmm.
other times it can be a little bumpy.
That
So
is true.
yeah, it's exciting to hear that you guys work so well together.
Yes.
Now, do
Yes.
you have an athletic background yourself?
I do. I do.
Okay.
So I played girls basketball in high school. I ran cross country, played basketball, and
Hmm.
ran track. But I
Okay.
went to college on a basketball scholarship, Wright State University in Dayton,
Yes.
Ohio. And so
Yeah.
I played 4 years there. And then since then, I've been coaching. I currently am varsity assistant at Rebuff Jesuit
Yes. Hmm.
High School, the girls varsity assistant. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
have a
really exciting. You and I have so much in common, Regin, in that Indianapolis is our home base, and
Mhm.
so it's really exciting for me to catch up with you. And again, if I didn't mention it, program number 50. Boy, I'm
Yes.
I'm just so excited about that, and that you are the guest on this program. Hey, I want to talk a little bit about this whole idea of handling disappointment as a
Mhm.
team chaplain. We know that athletes go through the ups and downs, the highs and lows. But you know what? Team chaplains do as well, don't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw some scenarios
Okay.
at you, and I just want to get your feedback on that.
Okay.
So I'm excited to hear. So let's begin with the obvious one. We only have 1 or 2 people show up for chapel, or no one shows up.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
do we work through that?
Yeah. That's a good one. And we actually have been very fortunate. When I stepped in with Kathy, we had Tamika Catchings was still on the team.
Yes.
And she was a great leader. And so from all I ever knew was Fever had full chapels, at least from the team. Like we had 6, 7,
Wow.
8 players all the time. We always had a whole lot of players coming in because of her leadership and just sharing. And they wanted to be there. She didn't make them come, they wanted to be there. So
Yeah.
my experience was our chapel was full, people showed up.
Hmm.
Um, and then Tamika retired.
Right.
And they still showed up, but then the team started changing. We got new coaches. And also, kind of during that time, so they were still kind of coming because Tamika had set like a good example. So we still had some vets on the team that kind of still spearheaded people attending. And then the Pacer Sports and Entertainment, they wanted to, did some renovations.
Hmm.
And so they did them in the summer during the
Right.
WNBA season. And so we kind of got displaced a little bit. The team where they were practicing for a while, for I think almost three summers or
Okay.
2.5 summers. And also we had coaches changes, player changes, and our numbers, like not just people in the building, even our chaplain goers numbers dropped.
Oh boy.
And so that was the first time I had experienced like, oh, are we going to get somebody in here? And when I say drop, we still have more than one, but it wasn't the full, and we just constantly prayed. And I feel like I can't remember so that would have had to be because 2020 they was in a bubble. So it was when they came back. 2021, I remember us praying, just trying to connect to the players because
Hmm.
some teams across the league have more access to players than others.
Right.
And I feel like we had good access, but you still want to invite them and you want them to come. You don't want to make them feel guilty into coming. And so trying
Hmm.
to just make sure they know who we are. Like I said, the coach was different. So we didn't, our experience, we didn't have like a direct contact
Hmm.
to like, hey, let your players know. And
Sure.
so it was disappointing for a little bit. But I know for us, like we would say, if it's just one, because I feel like 2020 helped us because when they were in the bubble or the wubble, they call it,
Hmm. Sure.
we did chapel a little differently because we do chapel together. usually, but during that time, which was crazy, they made them do chapel separately, even though they went to play on the basketball court
How
literally
about
an
that?
hour
Wow.
later.
Wow.
So we had to do a Zoom first 10 minutes. However, the team set it up, we would do our team first and then the next team next.
Nice.
And so the numbers, we kind of lost some people in that. And then when they came back, but we said if one person shows up, that's who we're there to serve,
Right.
And so there were times where there was 2 or 3 people in chapel, and that could be kind of disappointing because you do all this prepping and you get excited, and then you're like, okay, God, but this is for that one person.
That's it.
And
That's
so
it.
I feel like as a team, we did really well just staying prayed up, making sure we pray for each other, make sure we pray for the ladies. If we did get an in on someone, just letting them know, like, just encourage your teammates, this is something they want. And we just kind of prayed for each other because, like I said, it wasn't only disappointed that our numbers were down, it was disappointed because we were like displaced. We weren't, when we were at the fairgrounds, we were in a place where the people could just come through the door right in the middle of because we were just in a hallway.
Right.
So we had chairs, but somebody could just walk in the middle. And we didn't know. We're like, just trying to 7 minutes, please. But actually, and then, so one of the things as chaplains, we try to make sure we are serving everyone. And so we get to know the security guards and stuff like that. And they get to know us. And so it's like, we're about to have chapel. And they're like, I won't let nobody come through. It's like, so when you're nice to people, they're nice to you as much as possible. Of course, they can tell everybody no, but as much as possible, they're like, they would try to hold that door for that second. But then somebody might be getting an interview. They had a curtain, and then somebody was getting an interview right on the other side of the curtain. So it was just that time where we're like, okay, God, just use us how we're supposed to be used.
Right. Even
in this time of getting moved around. And then also during that time, one of our old players who played with Tamika came as an assistant coach. And she comes to chapel. And so things started kind of changing around again.
That's so good.
So I would say just praying and staying positive and knowing that it's not about, being seen, but we want to make sure we have people to serve. And so just being positive during that time.
Not about the numbers where 2 or 3 are gathered, right?
Yes.
There you go. All right, you mentioned coaching. Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
A new coach comes in. They're not terribly excited about the whole chapel thing. Yes. How do we work through that situation?
Yeah, so we've experienced that as well. We actually even not naming any names. So we actually had a player that was a chapel goer, and her coach encouraged her to start. She needed extra shooting. And she changed her time because I don't know if you guys know, but during the WNBA, like they have separate shooting time before the game where maybe 1 or 2 shoot together. So just for people that understand the context. But and she changed her time, and the available time was during our chapel time. And she stopped coming. And it was kind of disappointing. But one of the things, and I thank God for that relationship, and me and this player still have a really good relationship. What I started doing was writing her little notes and sending it to her. And eventually she gave me her phone number, and then I was able to text her and just like, I'm encouraging. And she was like, it's not that I don't, and she would see us because the training room was our old room. The training room was right down the hall from the chapel. And she'll stop. She's like, it's not that I don't want to come. I just have to shoot. I was like, we get it. We love it. I was like, there's no judgment, because I know there's a lot of people who love God, and game day is not, for whatever reason, they don't want to pause. Everybody has their routine. Sure. And so we never judge. We never make them feel bad for not coming. And so that was one of the things we had to do. And we just try to stay connected to her, which we did. And we see her, we'll grab her, hug her, give her a quick prayer, push her on, and send her notes and things like that. And so we also, like I said, when we give the players like a little welcome gift, whatever, we give them to the coaches too. So we're trying to plant seeds, letting them know, like, we're not here to disrupt your team. If you want to be a part, you can. If you don't, we don't, we just letting them know we're just here as a support. And the last few years has been a blessing with having that assistant coach around, and the assistant GM. She's been very helpful. She lets us attend preseason practice, and we get to introduce ourselves, even if the coach is not for us. But that's our one time, if we didn't get to talk to the coach any other time, to introduce ourselves, to let them know who we are. And so that's been very helpful so we've had 2 new coaches in the last couple of years. And they've allowed us to just kind of talk to them, and they know who we are. And that's how we kind of bridge that gap.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. All right, let's talk about those who have to raise financial support. for their ministry, and that can be really stressful.
Yes.
Have you had to experience that at all, or know someone who has?
I know people who have. So with
Mm-hmm.
all of us having we don't do sports ministry full time.
Mm-hmm.
It's we don't necessarily raise money. We have that's always part of our strategic plan is to try to figure out, okay, who's going to do this, who's going to do that. Dr. Ricky's been really helpful with us with that, getting us some support.
Right.
But we most of the time during our season, we pay everything out of pocket, and we just praying
Mm-hmm.
to God. Like I'm just like, God, I know you see what we're doing. Please help us. We try to get some things donated. We've had books donated to us and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. That's been helpful. But for us, it's part of like what we want to do. We like that we get to do this. And
Mm-hmm.
so we've all kind of like dedicated, we split the cost. And like I said, Dr. Ricky has had some over the years. Sometimes we'll get someone to donate, a few
Mm-hmm.
$100s.
Right.
But I do know other people that do that and they have to spend that time that do it full time or part
Mm-hmm.
time, but they still raise money and they're looking for
Right.
donors and people to sit down and talk with. And that's always at the top of our list. And we just ask God to just kind of
That's right.
help us along that way.
And he always supplies. Yeah, if he
Yes.
calls us, he supplies and
Yes.
helps us get
Absolutely.
there. All right, how about this area? And this will kind of be our final, but
Okay.
they're feeling exhausted, burned
Hmm.
out, maybe feeling that, Lord, maybe my time here's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do they work through that? How should they approach that?
Well, I would like to kind of just tell my own personal, just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like with that, when your time is done, there's also that feeling of maybe feeling like you're inadequate or not prepared for the position, because you kind of got to start there before you get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, when Kathy asked me, because people all the time like, "Are you a minister or you this?" I'm like, I did not go to seminary. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a minister. And my biggest thing is I say I love God and I love people and I love
Mm-hmm.
basketball as well, so that's helpful.
Yeah.
I love women's sports. I'll say
Mm-hmm.
that. And so that was very helpful. That was my leading thing to get me kind of in the door. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
God, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. And then I would watch these seasoned chaplains share, and I'm just like, I can't do it like that either. So now I'm like, I don't have all the pedigree, and then I can't talk like her or I can't pray like her. And
Mm-hmm.
then, but it took a couple years for me to kind of figure that out. Like, okay, God, you gave me something special. This is the way
Right.
you want me to do it. And Reggie, you got to be confident that this is how you do it. And
Yes.
so God has been very gracious. Like every summer, I'm just like, you still got me doing this because I don't know if I'm the right person. It starts there. So first, being able to, ask God to just show you what your gift is and how it's supposed to be used during your sports chaplaincy experience.
Right.
And then I feel like there's a time watching Kathy. I watched her do it very well. I was surprised she was ready to let go after 20 years. She
Right.
started something, but her life had changed. She was married and they had older children. So now they're having grandchildren and things like that. So she wanted to, have her summers. She needed, because she
Sure.
works full time. So she needed that time to be able to be with her family, which I understood. And so I watched it. I think she did it really well. She planned it. She kind of knew, okay, on this season's gonna be my last season. I know that's what,
Mm-hmm.
and we really try to make it special. Again, that's my ministry, like had the balloons, had our leader fly in, all the things, just to kind of really mark that time. But I think you really, just like when you're praying and asking God, like, if this really for me, I think you
Mm-hmm.
also pray and ask God, is this my time? When do I step away? If I come in this capacity, like what's next? I think Kathy serves as she's a prayer leader. So she prays for chaplains. She still serves
Okay.
in the
Sure.
capacity of praying for a team. She prays for the Fever and maybe another team, I think.
Okay.
And so you're just praying and asking God, like, what's next for me?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
I serve well? Did I do what you needed me to do? And you just got to know when to let go.
Right.
I often ask that with myself, so I don't even know yet. I don't think it's near yet, but I don't, but I do check in. I do a self-evaluation, like, okay, God, is it
Mm.
isn't close, or is this something you still want me to do? My children are 16 and 12.
Okay.
Very from early on, they came with me to chapel, and then things kind of changed in the organization where they don't allow extra people to come in as often. But my kids, so for my daughter from 3 to 12 to 13, 14, she was coming to chapel.
Wow.
And my son, he would sporadically want to come. And so that was
Yeah.
something we did as their mother. They could see me sharing Christ, because I
Wow.
want them to understand this is something you do. This is
Yeah.
the capacity I did it. This is might not be how you did it, but it was very enjoyable for me to have that so they can see, some ways you can share Christ, and it's not always just in church or
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So
Oh, so good.
I hope that was helpful.
So helpful. My
Okay.
goodness. Yeah, I think we could spend a couple hours talking about some of these things
Yes,
because,
you could.
there is disappointment and we have to work through that. And the Lord certainly wants to help us do that as He's called us to this very unique area of ministry. So, well, what's the off season look like? You have an opportunity now not to hear the balls dribbling and the shoes squeaking.
Well, the fall for me, I still hear shoes squeaking and balls bouncing because yesterday was the first day of girls basketball here in Indiana.
There you
So
go.
I still hear it. So now I'm serving as a coach. But as a chaplain, that never stops. As much as I can throughout the season, I'm trying to connect to players. I still stay connected to players who have moved on to other teams. So for
Okay.
me, it's sending texts, sending prayers, sending calls. We have a couple overseas, checking in on them. And then we're always planning for next season. Like, what's that going to look like? I have a theme kind of going in my head for next season. And so it's just always prepping for that. But then for me, I try to take those experiences I have as a sports chaplain for the WNBA for the girls as I coach. Now it doesn't look the same. I don't go an hour and have I'm constantly telling them, principles of how that works in their spiritual faith. I coach at a Catholic school, so you can kind of use your faith kind of openly there. So I can kind of talk freely in a way, not everybody there is Catholic, not everybody there is Christian, but we can talk about our faith. That's actually part of the school's mission.
Nice.
So I definitely try to make sure I use those skills when kids are down, ask them like, well, would you like to pray? Or I just give them an encouraging word, and it might be faith, but they know where I'm coming. They know we unfortunately had a student that had committed suicide a couple of years ago. And I just told coach, like, when we talk to them, I want to talk to them. And I came straight from the Bible. Like at that moment, it wasn't trying to skirt it. They knew exactly where I stood on that, and just trying to help them see that through. So that's what I do in the off season.
Yeah, your off season still very busy. Well, Reggen, we appreciate your time so much, and thank you for what you're doing with the Indiana Fever. Thank you for what you're doing there at Brebeuf with the high school athletes. And we just continue to pray, God's richest blessing on you and your family. Thank you for your time. And I hope we can do this again sometime. Be great to catch up maybe with your whole team. That would be
great. I think they'll love it. Or even if you do it separate, both of them have two very unique stories where you could pull different things from.
Beautiful.
Great people to talk to.
All right. God bless in all you do. Thank you for your time. And we'll be watching the Fever come a new season. You guys had a great year this year, despite a lot of injury, a whole lot of going on there. But we'll be looking forward to seeing just how the Lord leads in your ministry. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Sports Chaplains Connect. Be sure and invite a colleague to listen in, and by all means, let's connect. Give us your thoughts on the podcast. Drop us an email at sportschaplainsconnect@gmail.com. That's sportschaplainsconnect@gmail.com. We'll see you next week when Sports Chaplains Connect.